When the world's greatest hero faces the most dangerous challenge of his life, even Superman is tested. In a race against time, trapped in the heart of the desert, will he make it out alive? Superman awoke with a jolt, his body aching as if it had been through a battle he couldn't remember. His usual surroundings, the bustling streets of Metropolis, were gone. In their place was an endless expanse of golden sand stretching far into the horizon, shimmering under the harsh midday sun. The oppressive heat seemed to gnaw at him from every direction. He scanned the landscape, his senses heightened, yet everything felt different. He was no longer invincible in this foreign land. This wasn't Earth, at least not the Earth he knew. His eyes narrowed. A small, ancient temple loomed in the distance, its crumbling stone structure barely standing against the weight of time. The air around it crackled with an unnatural energy, a pulse that seemed to beckon him closer. It was here he had woken up, and from the moment his feet touched the ground, Superman felt a strange unease settling over him. Something wasn't right. Something had brought him here, and it wasn't just chance. With a deep breath, he began to walk toward the temple, his boots kicking up small clouds of dust as he moved. His mind raced. Had he been brought here by some new villain or alien force? Was this yet another trap designed to break him? His senses told him the sand was thick with secrets, secrets that had been buried for centuries, waiting for someone like him to uncover. As he approached the temple, the ground beneath his feet trembled. A low growl echoed from within, followed by the rumble of something heavy shifting. Superman's muscles tensed, but before he could react, the earth cracked wide open beneath him, and he was swallowed into the depths of the temple's maze. His body hit the ground hard, sending shock waves through his system. Dazed but determined, Superman rose to his feet, brushing the sand from his cape. His superhuman hearing picked up the faintest sound, like the growl of a beast, but it wasn't just any beast. This creature was something primal, something ancient. It was alive with hunger, and it was coming for him. The air was thick with the stench of decay, and as he steadied himself, Superman realized the true nature of his predicament. This wasn't just a test of strength. It was a race against time. He had no idea how he had ended up in the heart of this temple or how to escape. But one thing was clear. There was something here that wanted him dead. The whispers of an ancient curse echoed through the stone halls of the temple. The walls seemed to pulse with a life of their own. The answer to his escape lay deep within, but first, he had to survive the deadly forces that guarded it. And for the first time, Superman realized his powers might not be enough to save him this time. Survival isn't enough. In the heart of the temple, every step Superman takes could lead to certain death. Will he unravel the curse before it's too late? Superman's heart raced as the ground beneath him quaked. The trap had been set, a hidden pit, large enough to swallow even someone with his strength. He barely managed to leap to the side as the sand collapsed beneath him, his cape fluttering in the air. For the first time in years, he felt vulnerable. This wasn't the world he knew, and his powers alone wouldn't be enough to get him out of this alive. The temple's walls seemed to close in around him, their ancient stones etched with strange symbols that glowed faintly, casting eerie shadows. The air was thick with dust, the scent of age, and something else, something ominous. The curse of the sands wasn't just a myth. It was alive, and it was watching him. Each creak and groan of the stone was a reminder that he was not alone in this cursed place. As Superman pressed forward, the passageways twisted like a labyrinth, each corner more dangerous than the last. He'd fought intergalactic tyrants, outwitted cunning masterminds, and saved entire planets. But here, in this temple, he was just a man surrounded by unseen forces. His superhuman vision scanned the walls, but the cryptic symbols gave him no answers, just more questions. The deeper he ventured, the more the temple seemed to shift, as if it were alive. Deadly traps sprang from the walls at random, sharp blades that emerged from hidden recesses, poison gas that hissed out from vents, and walls that moved, threatening to crush him in an instant. Each step forward felt like a step closer to death. His usual methods, speed, strength, and flight, were less effective here, where the ancient magic of the temple bent the rules of the physical world. Superman paused in the middle of a narrow corridor, listening carefully. His super hearing detected the faintest sound, a scraping, as if something was moving toward him. He whirled just in time to see a massive stone boulder rolling toward him, a deadly weight barreling down the hallway with incredible speed. He leaped to the side, narrowly avoiding the crushing impact, but the force of the collision sent shock waves through the corridor, collapsing part of the ceiling above him. He knew now. This place was no ordinary temple. It was a prison, built by ancient beings long forgotten, designed to trap the unworthy. The curse of the sands was not just about surviving. It was about proving one's worth. The temple had been designed to test every part of him, not just his strength, but his intelligence, his resolve, and his character. It was testing whether he was worthy to leave. And so far, he hadn't passed a single test. A low growl echoed from the darkness ahead, and Superman tensed. It wasn't the sound of the creature from before. No, this was something more insidious. The temple's guardians, beasts of stone and sand, creatures bound by ancient magic, had been set loose. And now they were hunting him. His only choice was to press on, to survive, to learn, and to fight for the key to his escape. But every step felt heavier than the last. The deeper he went, the more the curse of the sand seemed to consume him. And he realized, with growing dread, that not everyone who entered the temple made it out. In the deepest pit of the desert, Superman finds an ally from an unexpected place. Together, can they escape the nightmare alive? Superman's muscles screamed with exhaustion as he staggered through the endless labyrinth of the temple. The trials had been unforgiving, testing every ounce of his strength, speed, and intellect. The endless traps, the lurking creatures, and the eerie whispers of ancient forces had worn him down, but he refused to give in. He had escaped impossible situations before, but this was different. He could feel the pull of the desert, as if it was alive, and it was determined to keep him. Just as he reached the end of a narrow, crumbling corridor, Superman heard a sound, a faint scraping followed by a cough. He paused, his instincts alert. It wasn't the growl of one of the temple's guardians, nor the rumbling of shifting sand. It was human. Drawing on the last remnants of his energy, Superman rushed toward the sound. As he turned a corner, he spotted the figure of a man disheveled, his face gaunt, eyes wild with the fear of years spent trapped in this place. The man's clothes were tattered, and his skin was sun-scorched, but there was something familiar in his gaze, a desperate, haunted look. You're alive?" Superman asked, surprised to find someone else in this hellish place. The man gave a strained nod, his voice barely above a whisper. "You shouldn't be here. None of us should. But I see you've made it this far." His eyes flicked nervously to the passage behind Superman, as if waiting for something to appear from the darkness. Superman took a cautious step forward. "Who are you? And how long have you been here?" The man's eyes clouded with the weight of memories, and he exhaled deeply. "I'm Sam. I've been here for what feels like forever, years maybe, trapped by the curse of this place. And now, it seems you've awakened something." Superman's brow furrowed. "What do you mean, awakened something?" The man shifted uncomfortably, glancing back down the dark corridor. "The temple feeds on those who enter. It tests them, breaks them down. You might have noticed, but there's a reason we can't leave. The curse isn't just about survival. It's about breaking the spirit, bending you to the desert's will. But I've learned some things that might help you. If you want to get out of here, we'll need to work together." Superman's gaze softened. "What kind of things?" Sam leaned in, his voice low. "This temple is no ordinary prison. It's a sentient being, alive, ancient, and hungry. And I've seen its patterns, its weaknesses. There are parts of this desert that even it can't control. But we need to find them before it's too late." Superman studied the man closely, sizing him up. Despite his ragged appearance, Sam's eyes held an intelligence that Superman couldn't ignore. The curse of the sands had nearly broken him, but somehow, he had survived. Now, they would have to rely on each other if they were to make it out. Sam motioned toward a narrow passageway, one Superman had overlooked. "Follow me. There's a way out, but we're going to have to face the temple's final test together. It's the only way." With no other options, Superman nodded. The unlikeliest of alliances had formed in the heart of the desert, and together They would face the temple's darkest secrets, secrets that could either save them or doom them forever. The end is near. The ultimate test awaits. Can Superman defeat the final trial, or will the blazing sands claim him as their next victim? The desert stretched endlessly before them, a vast expanse of shifting sand under the scorching sun. After days of navigating the deadly temple, fighting its traps, and facing the monstrous guardians, Superman and Sam finally reached the heart of the desert. The temple had led them here, but it felt as though they were walking straight into the jaws of a beast. The air was thick with tension, the ground beneath them hot and unyielding. Sam, still showing signs of the wear and tear of years spent in the desert, wiped his brow and squinted into the distance. "It's coming," he muttered, his voice barely audible against the stillness. "I can feel it. The sandstorm is about to hit." Superman's gaze sharpened, his superhuman vision scanning the horizon. He saw nothing but an endless stretch of desert, but Sam's words hung heavy in the air. Something was wrong, something that Superman couldn't yet see. The sand around them seemed to shimmer unnaturally, as if the desert itself was alive, preparing for a storm that was more than just weather. As they pushed forward, the temperature began to rise, the wind picking up, howling around them with an eerie, unnatural force. It wasn't just a sandstorm. It was a force of nature, a final trial that the desert itself had created to break them. The first gusts hit with the force of a freight train, blowing sand so fiercely that even Superman had to shield his eyes. The swirling winds howled like an angry beast, and the air turned to a suffocating furnace. Sam staggered, nearly falling as the sand blasted them with brutal intensity. Superman grabbed him, his strength anchoring them both as the storm roared around them. But it wasn't just the wind. The sand began to move, shifting like an unstoppable wave, a living, breathing entity. From within the storm, shapes began to form, hulking figures made of sand and stone, creatures of the desert sent to test them. The temple's final guardians had arrived, and they were more fearsome than anything Superman had faced so far. "We need to move now," Sam shouted, his voice barely audible over the deafening wind. Superman nodded, and without a word, he surged forward, Sam at his side. Every step felt like a battle, the sand threatening to swallow them whole with each passing second. The ground beneath them trembled, and in the chaos of the storm, it was impossible to tell which way to go. The sky had turned a deep, unsettling orange as the storm intensified, and Superman's vision blurred as sand pummeled his face. Then, out of the swirling darkness, the first of the sand monsters lunged at them, a creature of pure sand, its massive fists crashing down with the weight of a boulder. Superman barely had time to react. He dodged, but the creature's claws tore at his armor, sending him crashing into the sand. The creature roared, its body shifting and reforming, the sand swirling around it like an unstoppable tide. Sam, breathless and struggling, pulled Superman to his feet. "This is it, Superman. The final trial. We either survive this storm, or we die in it. Together." With a final surge of strength, Superman rose, eyes blazing with determination. The storm was relentless, but he wasn't going down without a fight. This was the last test, the ultimate trial, and if he was going to escape the curse of the blazing sands, he would have to defeat it once and for all. Victory is close, but will Superman make it out in time, or will the blazing sands claim their final victim? The storm raged with an intensity that felt almost otherworldly, the sand howling through the air like the voice of 1,000 angry gods. Superman and Sam, battered and bruised from the relentless trials, pressed forward, their bodies on the edge of exhaustion. The storm had thrown every last ounce of their strength against them, but they had survived each test, each perilous moment. They were close now, so close to escaping the desert's clutches. But the storm wasn't ready to let them go. The air was thick with heat, the sky an orange blur as the sand whipped around them in violent gusts. Every step felt like a battle, the ground beneath them shifting, swallowing their footprints. Superman could barely see through the swirling mass of sand, but he knew they had to keep moving. They had reached the heart of the desert, and it was there, somewhere in the chaos, that their escape lay. Sam stumbled, his strength all but gone, and Superman caught him, supporting his weight as the two struggled against the storm. "We're almost there," Sam gasped, his voice barely audible above the howling wind. "The temple's heart, it's close. We need to reach the center of the storm." Superman's eyes narrowed. He could feel it now. The pulse of ancient magic, the heartbeat of the desert itself. The temple was alive, and it was feeding on their desperation, testing their will to survive. But Superman wouldn't give up. Not now, not when they were so close. Ahead, through the chaos of the storm, Superman saw a flicker of light, soft golden, like the first rays of dawn breaking through the storm. The path was clear, a single thread of light cutting through the sand. It was their only chance. With a final surge of power, Superman lifted Sam into his arms, ignoring the exhaustion gnawing at his bones. Together, they sprinted toward the light, the winds battering them with every step. The sand seemed to resist them, but Superman's determination drove him forward. They were almost there, almost out. But just as they neared the center of the storm, a deafening roar shook the ground beneath them. From the swirling sands, a massive, monstrous figure emerged, an ancient guardian of the desert, its body composed entirely of shifting sand and stone. Its eyes glowed with an unearthly light, a creature born of the desert's power, sent to prevent anyone from escaping. Superman, battered but resolute, set Sam down behind a stone outcrop. The guardian advanced, its giant hands reaching out to crush them both. But Superman didn't flinch. He was the last hope of Earth, and no sandstorm or monster would stop him now. He gathered every last ounce of strength, his fists glowing with the power of his heat vision. The battle was brief but fierce. With one final, powerful punch, Superman struck the Guardian, his fist slamming through its chest and scattering the sand like dust in the wind. The creature crumbled, its form dissipating into the air. But the storm didn't stop. The desert wasn't finished yet. Taking a deep breath, Superman turned to Sam. "We've made it," he said, his voice firm. Together, they stepped into the light. As they did, the storm began to dissipate, the sand settling as the desert finally began to calm. The curse had been broken. They had escaped. As the sun rose above the desert, the first light of dawn touched the world. Superman stood tall, his cape fluttering in the gentle breeze, while Sam collapsed in relief beside him. They had faced the greatest trial of their lives, and they had survived. For the first time in what felt like an eternity, the desert was silent. And for the first time, Superman felt the weight of his journey lift. The blazing sands had been defeated, and a new dawn had come.